Hi. In this video and the next couple of videos, I want to talk to you about transactions in a database. I'm going to explain what they are, why we want to do them, and also I'll show you some examples in an actual database system. So a little bit of introduction. Transactions at its minimum allows you to bundle multiple database updates, multiple database changes into a single atomic operation. I'll explain in a minute what atomic means. And transactions also give you the ability to undo an operation, which you've been begging for a long time. But you don't get that undo for free. It's not like in a word processor where you can just hit Command Z or Control Z and undo the last thing you did. With a database, you got to tell it ahead of time that you want to start a transaction, and then after doing some operations, you can decide whether or not you want to keep those changes or discard them. So it's not quite as convenient as in a regular application. Before we get into how to use transactions, I'm going to talk to you about database state. So I want you to think about a database, which I represent here as a rectangle with a bunch of other smaller rectangles in it. The smaller rectangles represent the tables within a database. I want you to think about each operation that you do on the database as altering the state of the database, moving it forward in time. For example, if we start with a database with 3 tables in it, and then we do a create table statement, we're going to end up with a database with 4 tables in it, and the new one's represented there with that blue rectangle. Then we can do an insert on one of the tables, and the table's now a little bit bigger because there's a new row. We could then do maybe a delete, and then there's another table that's a little bit smaller because we've taken away a row. So each one of those operations alters the state of the whole database system, and every single one of those states is consistent. None of the constraints have been violated. There's no syntax error. The data is stable. The operations I'm talking about are ones that alter a database. Select is not one of them. Select, when you do a select, it doesn't change any of the data. The operations I'm talking about are things like create, insert, update, delete, drop, alter, anything that either changes a table or changes a row or changes one of the data within a row. So we're not talking about the statements that just simply query a database. Atomic operations, I mentioned that a moment ago. So an atomic operation is basically all or nothing. All database operations are atomic. When you do an insert, you either get the whole row or you get none of it at all. When you do an update, you either get all the data that the operation is going to change or none of it happens. You don't get half an update. You don't get half a row. You've seen this multiple times in your experience, like when you do a copy using the copy command and you want to insert, say, 1,000 rows into a database, you either get all 1,000 rows or you get none of them. It doesn't do, say, 100 of them and then error out halfway through. You either get all of them or none of them. And there's a variety of reasons why operations might not work. It could be that one or more of the constraints were violated. This is probably the most common reason. There could be a data type mismatch, like you were trying to put text data into a field that can only hold a number, or even a syntax error can cause an operation to not work. But in all these cases, either the operation goes to completion or it is undone, and it's as though the operation was never done at all. Let's look at a single table here. I've got a table representing a bank account. It's got an account number and a balance. And what I want to do is transfer $50 from account 100 to account 110. So I do that with 2 update operations. The first one would subtract $50 from account 100. So I do that with the update I've shown you here. And then I'd want to take that $50 and add it to account 110, and I do it with a second update. And if you think about it, there's really no way to do this with a single update. I can't do it with just one operation. I need to do it with 2 operations. Now, if both of these operations worked okay, I would successfully transfer $50 from one account to another, but there might be a variety of reasons why one or both of these might fail. Let's talk about that next there. So one reason might be maybe there's insufficient funds. I might have a check constraint on the tables that says the balance can't go below 0, and if it does, that would cause a constraint violation, and the update that took the money away wouldn't work. Maybe I just mistyped the account number. Maybe account number 110 doesn't exist, or maybe I flubbed it and typed 111, in which case the operation would come back with an error saying that account doesn't exist and no data was changed. Could also be I just mistyped something, forgot a parentheses or a semicolon, and I get a syntax error. But in any case, if any error occurs, we want to undo the entire thing. It wouldn't be good for the bank to, let's say, pull money out of one account and then have the second one fail and not transfer the money into another account. That would cause there to be not enough money in the bank, or vice versa. I wouldn't want to add money to one account and not be able to take it out of another. So I want to undo both of them as though nothing happened at all, and that would put the database back into a consistent state where none of the constraints have been violated. I want to be able to take both those update operations, put them together into a single atomic transaction. So I either get both of them work or none of them work. And this ensures the database moves forward in time from one consistent state to another. Well, there's only 3 commands you need to know about for transactions. One of them is begin, the next one is commit, and the third one is rollback. Begin is the command you use when you want to tell it you want to start doing a transaction. You say begin, then you do one or more commands that alters the state of the database. Actually, it can be any command at all. Even selects can be included in a transaction. And then at the end of that transaction, you decide whether you want to save those changes by typing commit, or you can type rollback to undo everything that you did from the moment that you typed begin. So it doesn't roll back, say, to the beginning of time. It only rolls things back from the moment you typed begin. So begin is used as a marker to say, I want you to take a snapshot of what the database looks like right now, and then I can either do a commit or roll back to that point in time. Okay, so in the next video, I will show you some examples of using transactions in an actual database. I'll use that bank account table that I just showed you. So join me there.